steady and wait. I wanna just decide what is to be my fate. Alone all by myself, I'm not just gonna stay here and wait.
Good morning, everybody. It is way too early. Well, not really, because I've been up since 3 a.m. It took about an hour and a half to sort all of these, and then I realized that, hey, we have got enough for 2 Chille specials today instead of just one. So we're going to do 2023 covering the Floyd Wallace saga and up until his first couple of hearings in his current criminal case. So that's what we're covering for the next hour or so. These are best of. Basically, these are previously produced videos that you may have seen before, but they're a good recap of last year's insanity with Jose Chille DeCastro. On that note, I'll be sticking around because StreamYard did not like to record these earlier. This is now my third attempt at getting this program produced, as StreamYard decided to cut the audio halfway through. Actually, we went an hour and 3 minutes through on the first attempt, and an hour and 1 minute through on the second attempt. So now we've cut these up into bite-sized pieces. We're live, so I can listen to make sure it doesn't cut out again. And I'm going to strangle StreamYard. But that's happy, happy, joy, joy on a wonderful 4th of July morning. Hope everyone's safe. Hope everything goes well today. And this, like I said, this is the first of 2 specials. This is the 2023 Part 1. 2024 Part 1 will air at 6:30 p.m. Eastern tonight, 5:30 p.m. where it counts, 4:30 in Mountain Time Zone, and then 3:30 on the West Coast. I hope you're there for that one. That one is the more recent stuff. Anyway, we're diving in, and please, if you feel like tipping, the tip jar is always open. Anyway, good morning. Hope everyone's had a good evening and a better day today as we get started with Jose DeCastro's greatest hits. Our top stories on Really Cool site for May 20th, 2023 included news on Floyd Wallace's screw-up in his attempt to file his federal civil rights lawsuit against the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, and Regan Benson's disappointing attack video on Inglewood City Attorney Ian Griffin. Starting with the Wallace story, May of last year saw Floyd Wallace enter in an alliance of sorts with Jose Chille DeCastro, following Floyd's arrest for attempted trespass at a police precinct in Las Vegas suburb. Smelling opportunity, DeCastro almost immediately cloned his existing lawsuit, switched a few facts around to apply them to Wallace's case, and after crowdfunding for $400 in the filing fee, he and Wallace went down to file the lawsuit in downtown Las Vegas, when Wallace forgot his ID and was not allowed in the building. A fuming DeCastro blamed the illegal and immoral practices of demanding an ID at the courthouse for the denial of entry, and would later quietly file the case on Wallace's behalf outside of Wallace's presence. Regan Benson live streamed on May 20th, 2023, as she picked up a thumb drive containing what she said was damning evidence of inappropriate conduct involving then Inglewood, Colorado, City Attorney Ian Griffin. The incident happened at a court hearing for Benson's client, Shannon Moore. Griffin handed Benson a subpoena to appear before the Colorado Supreme Court's Unauthorized Practice of Law Committee for practicing law without a license. While Benson promised a dramatic moment between the two where Griffin threw the subpoena in her face during the hearing, it turned out to be anything but. In the released video, Griffin simply handed Benson the document, and Benson left without incident. According to Benson, the charges before the committee were recently dropped, and Ian Griffin has taken another job outside of the Inglewood city government. On the same broadcast, Benson announced that she had been awarded the remains of Jesse, a homeless man that she had been housing in a hotel in Denver before the pair had dramatically split last year, and he was later found dead after an apparent relapse. Benson announced that she would be putting the bulk of his ashes on the mantle above her fireplace, while she would have a portion of his remains put in a vial that would be placed in a necklace that she would wear for inspiration. While occasionally wearing the pendant, Benson has not mentioned Jesse or his inspiration in more recent live streams. One year ago today for May 21st, 2024. Our lead story 1 year ago today featured Floyd Wallace's live stream on his Corn Season Productions YouTube channel, in which he addressed a variety of issues, including Jose Chille DeCastro's recently produced lawsuit on his behalf. Wallace seemed uncomfortable addressing questions involving DeCastro, as he stated that he would be extending his stay in Las Vegas and filing his $2 million federal civil rights lawsuit against the Las Vegas Metro Police Department on Monday. Describing DeCastro as different from other YouTubers, Wallace stated that DeCastro was the only person to provide him with help in his quest for justice. The YouTuber criticized activist James Freeman, an auditor Long Island Audits, two frequent targets of DeCastro, for declining to help him when approached. The YouTuber did not address the events of the previous day, where DeCastro drove Wallace to the Las Vegas courthouse to file the lawsuit, only to be turned away as Wallace declined to bring his identification. Touching on other subjects, Wallace restated his desire to travel to Africa and meet up with prominent Mr. Passport Bro advocate Austin Hallman. While Wallace seemed troubled as he claimed he was not attracted to African women, he later clarified that it was African American women he was no longer attracted to. Wallace also stated that he no longer was interested in a traditional woman or relationship, preferring relationships without commitment, and openly fantasizing about having multiple women take care of his needs in an open relationship. Addressing his multiple open court cases for arrests in various states, Wallace admitted that he'd like to settle the cases and return to traveling. While admitting that he was a felon, he declared that he had no interest in visiting counties or countries that put limits on entry by felons before attempting to fundraise for his trip to Africa. The YouTuber ended his broadcast by reiterating his beliefs that YouTube was taking action to hamper the growth of his channels based on his ethnicity, and warned YouTube that one day someone would be so triggered by the practice that they would pay a visit to the YouTube campus and act against them. Wallace was expected to return to Texas on the following Monday, where he had planned an interview for a warehouse position with Amazon. Ultimately, Wallace did not get the job with Amazon and turned back to his YouTube auditing channel, where he would soon begin a campaign where he was DeCastro's stand-in while doing live audits. DeCastro himself declared Floyd an American treasure to certify his high regard for his brother, Floyd Wallace. 1 year ago today, we had three top stories for May 22nd, 2023, with two of the three stories relating to ongoing events that are still happening this year. First up, Chille DeCastro and sidekick Floyd Wallace visited the Internal Affairs Unit of the Las Vegas Metro Police Department. Wallace served as an awkward cameraman as DeCastro met with investigators to report claims of excessive force allegedly used by LVMPD members on him during his March 2023 arrest. During this interaction, DeCastro wrongly described injuries to his left hand that did not correspond to injuries he suffered to his ulnar nerve. The officers took DeCastro's verbal statement and referred him to the Citizen Review Board to continue his claims against officers who were involved in his arrest. Our second story from this day last year featured YouTuber Akira Amanda, whose husband had been convicted of attempted sexual battery on an underage person. Amanda had reportedly lashed out at those who reported the story, hitting Frauditor Troll with copyright strikes for his reporting. She has later separated from her husband, finding lasting love with another fellow auditor. Lastly, Kate Peter live-streamed exactly 1 year ago today about Aiden Turtleboy Kearney's growing involvement in the Karen Reed murder trial. Peter was joined by True Yorker and Boomer to discuss Turtleboy's growing obsession with the case and his leadership of the Free Karen Reed movement. Today, Turtleboy is still a featured player in the defense of Reed, but is facing multiple felony charges for alleged witness intimidation done during his time as leader of that organization. That's it for 1 year ago today, folks. Tune in tomorrow for more blasts from the past, right here on Really Cool News. Flashback to May 28th, 2023. DeCastro promises more legal action. My will be done or I'll sue you were the words of Chille DeCastro Saturday night as he was closing his impromptu live stream on his YouTube channel. The live stream, ending an incredibly slow news day, started with DeCastro comparing what he called torture chairs between Chinese detainment chairs and a supposed American-style detainment chair. The YouTuber showcased the Chinese version of the chair as a very orderly process where a man was calmly detained in a sitting position with his arms bound as he was interrogated about his criticism of police on a social network. By contrast, the clip of the American detainment chair featured a chaotic blend of alleged corruption, nudity, and threat of tasing. DeCastro put it to a vote, and his live chat found the American version wanting, deeming the American torture chair even worse than China's. Moving on to his traditional coverage of random, scantily clad young women taking an attitude with police, DeCastro focused on a video featuring an 18-year-old in a crop top and short shorts who was pulled over by police for suspicion of driving while under the influence. The woman questioned her rights as she was being verbally detained and denied knowledge of Xanax tablets found in her driver's seat. DeCastro made the case that someone as small and thin as the young woman should never be detained as they're not considered a risk, and he could easily take action against them if he needed to. DeCastro complained as the woman became more and more agitated with police, ultimately resisting as they attempted to place her in the back of a police vehicle. The woman could be heard screaming at police as she was driven away. The second video on display featured an African-American man who was pulled over by a rookie police officer. After brief questioning, the officer said he could smell marijuana, and a search of the man's vehicle was unsuccessful in finding the drug. The third video contained the May 9, 2023 incident in Illinois, where a routine stop to assist a broken-down vehicle turned into a fatal shooting, when the police found the driver had warrants and he resisted arrest. DeCastro blamed police for the actions of the driver, who fought police when they tried to detain him for his warrant. The YouTuber stating that there should be an alternative method to handle those drivers who are found to have outstanding warrants. The subject of DeCastro's warrant in Ironton, Ohio came up, and DeCastro explained that he fled Ohio as he would have either still been in jail or dead if he did not do so. He asserted that he would prevail in his current federal civil rights lawsuit against the town of Ironton, and his warrant would then be quashed. DeCastro brought up the rest of his lawsuits, both federal and state level, and said that he would be taking action and possibly filing a new lawsuit within the next 2 to 3 weeks if his legal maneuvering failed. Flashback to May 29, 2023. DeCastro to eliminate police. Jose Chille DeCastro continued his recent verbal attacks on police Sunday night in a now deleted live stream. DeCastro shared violent fantasies about attacking the police officers involved in his recent arrest in Las Vegas, indicating that he had no fear of the men and now proclaiming all law enforcement has to be deleted. DeCastro began his live stream by looking at a series of arrest videos in which he claimed that officers tortured or abused those individuals they were taking into custody. This led to DeCastro stating that he wanted to force a California policewoman into a cage fight like a man and have a canine officer who was involved in an incident that DeCastro was watching be mauled by dogs. The YouTuber's violent fantasies continued as he stated that he was not afraid of the officers who recently arrested him in Las Vegas and would attack them individually if he could find them in a situation outside of the, quote, rule of law, unquote. In perhaps a new career move, DeCastro openly stated that he was obsessed with the idea of opening a fight club where police officers would face members of the public to settle disputes for his entertainment. He then declared that when he obtained the governorship, he would defund and outlaw the police department and replace it with a department of rights protectors. Playing portions of a recent traffic stop that he was involved with, DeCastro criticized police for touching him after he ignored their warnings to stay inside his car. He claimed that officers should have known he was unarmed, even though he states he openly carries his firearm at all times and is well known by Las Vegas Metro police officers. Even more disturbing, DeCastro again shared his fantasies of a coming civil war, toying with the idea of leaving during the actual fighting in order to return as an authority figure after the war. It is unclear if DeCastro believes that the Civil War will come before or after his attempt to run for governor, but he assured his fandom that he would be ready to lead in either case. Flashback to May 30th, 2023. DeCastro's Memorial Day tribute to himself? On a day that most Americans were quietly gathering in remembrance of those who gave their lives in defense of the country, Jose Chille DeCastro released several videos highlighting his perceived mistreatment by police and the judicial system. The first of DeCastro's videos featured DeCastro and then sidekick Floyd Wallace walking around displays at the Las Vegas Police Department before his scheduled meeting with Internal Affairs. DeCastro objected to the display of the thin blue line symbol on a Nevada license plate on display at the entrance of the building. The woman working behind the front counter listened to his complaints, but told him they would not remove the license plate from display. DeCastro's second video featured an apparent recent traffic stop in Las Vegas, where DeCastro bragged about going through a traffic light that was turning from yellow to red. He was pulled over by police and exited his vehicle to confront them. When the police asked him to stay in one place and continued to herd him to that spot, DeCastro claimed they were attempting to torture him by placing hands on him. It is unclear from the video if DeCastro received a citation for running a red light, as the video ends with DeCastro being told that he was free to leave by the gathered police officers. The final video, released as Memorial Day was ending on the West Coast, concerned DeCastro's pending response to Google's motion to have their portion of his Massachusetts-based copyright case against Kate Peter, Josh Abrams, 50 John Doe YouTube creators, 20 John Doe YouTube workers, and YouTube itself either be dismissed or moved to the federal court in Santa Clara, California. DeCastro stated that YouTube should not be allowed to move the case to Santa Clara, as he was not allowed to have his case dismissed in order to refile it in California by Judge Allison D. Burroughs last fall. Burroughs had ruled in the fall of 2022 that DeCastro could not have his case dismissed at that time because Kate Peter and Josh Abrams had replied to his initial lawsuit with counterclaims before DeCastro made his motion to dismiss. DeCastro was intending to have the case dismissed so he could refile it in California. In response to this ruling, DeCastro amended his case to change the focus to copyright issues and then essentially refiled his original charges against Peter in California's state-level court, dropping Abrams from the charges. DeCastro, addressing the current motion, indicated that YouTube was only a secondary party in the current version of the case and was only brought into the lawsuit as he claims they violated the Digital Millennium Copyright Act when they refused to take down any and all YouTube videos he says misused his copywritten material. The YouTuber stated that YouTube was insignificant to the lawsuit and ignored YouTube's own request to have the case dismissed completely, as DeCastro has no actual claims against YouTube or provided examples of how YouTube allegedly caused him harm. As usual for recent videos by DeCastro, the video ended with a confusing statement. In his extended list of grievances, DeCastro stated that YouTube should be forced to write original motions against him and be denied the use of boilerplate filings. DeCastro, who is alleged to have copied motions in this lawsuit from other lawsuits he's found from Google searches, and allegedly relies on AI program ChatGPT to help him write his original motions, made the demand at the close of the video, and it is unclear if the judge in the case has the power to grant his demands. The new filing is expected to be released later today. Flashback to June 1st, 2023. DeCastro doubles down on false information. Jose Chille DeCastro's latest public meltdown left even his most ardent fans questioning his sanity on Wednesday. DeCastro doubled down on an incorrect belief about federal employees and the display of visible identification on their uniforms. An agitated DeCastro held a live stream outside of the federal building in Las Vegas on Wednesday. He explained that he had been in the building in order to pay the fees associated with Floyd Wallace's lawsuit, which he previously had crowdfunded for on behalf of Wallace on his Delete Laws YouTube channel, but had never paid. DeCastro explained that 3 weeks ago, when he was filing his own lawsuit against the Las Vegas Metro Police Department, U.S. Marshals working at the building refused to identify themselves in violation of H.R. 7711, a law he claimed that was passed in 2020 that required all federal law enforcement agents to display visible identification at all times. When DeCastro returned to the building to file Wallace's lawsuit, he claimed he was confronted by U.S. Marshals, who again refused to identify themselves and expressed concern because the flip-flops he was wearing contained a bottle opener in their soles, which was considered a weapon. The Marshals allegedly threatened him with ejection from the building due to the bottle opener and escorted him to the clerk of the court's office in order to file his lawsuit. DeCastro claimed that in the commotion, the clerk initially forgot to stamp his paperwork and then never charged his debit card for the filing fees. DeCastro claimed he did not know that the filing fee had not been paid until he received an email from the clerk reminding him that payment was due. His Wednesday visit to the federal building was an attempt to pay Wallace's outstanding fees. The self-proclaimed civil rights activist claimed he was once again accosted by U.S. Marshals as he entered the building. The Marshals again flagged his flip-flops for containing the bottle opener. When he demanded their credentials, they again refused to identify, even though he cited H.R. 7711 as the law of the land. When he went to the U.S. Marshal's office in order to make a complaint, the supervisor refused to identify himself with name and badge number. DeCastro again stated that they were clearly in violation of H.R. 7711, and this would give him grounds to sue them for ignoring the law. As DeCastro stood outside the building, ranting that he was going to sue the gang of marshals as they ignored the rule of law, his fans began to give him troubling news in the live stream's side chat. H.R. 7711 was introduced to the House of Representatives in 2020, but never made it out of committee. It was never the law of the land, and DeCastro was wrong. Apparently incensed by the news, DeCastro failed to properly shut down the live stream, and fans who arrived late were unable to access the stream for over 30 minutes. During that time, many questioned in the livestream side chat, which remained open due to the improper closure, why DeCastro contended that H.R. 7711 was in fact federal law, when clearly it was online and everyone could read that it was not the law. DeCastro's reaction was to respond to comments on the YouTube video with denials that he was wrong, and to claim that while H.R. 7711 didn't pass, it was later made into law when it was included as part of H.R. 6395, the National Defense Authorization Act. DeCastro was partially correct, as part of the law was passed due to actions of federal officers responding to civil uprisings in 2020. In multiple cases, incognito federal officers refused to identify themselves nor their government agencies when arresting protesters. The law states that the identification must be on display in a time of civil disturbance, and does not specify that federal officers must display identification during the course of their day-to-day activities, nor must they verbally identify themselves when asked. While DeCastro may claim that he was protesting the actions of the U.S. Marshals for refusing to identify themselves, his protest did not come during a time of civil disturbance. It is unclear if DeCastro was able to pay Wallace's filing fees. Wallace's case listing a court listener has not been updated with the payment status as of press time. Flashback, June 6, 2023. Floyd Wallace's Las Vegas charges dropped. Jose Chille DeCastro got a rare legal victory Monday night as he received word that Floyd Wallace's charges for attempted trespassing at a Las Vegas area police facility would not be pursued. Wallace was arrested in May for attempting to gain access to a private parking area at a police facility outside of Las Vegas. Wallace reached out to DeCastro after the arrest, and Wallace was used as a cameraman to document a handful of DeCastro's videos before Wallace returned to Texas. DeCastro, who filed a federal civil rights lawsuit on behalf of Wallace, indicated that he would still be pursuing the civil rights lawsuit on behalf of Wallace, even though the charges were dropped. The YouTuber stated that even the district attorney in the case could see that it was an example of wrongful prosecution. After playing the call from a court worker sent to him by Wallace, which informed Wallace that he was not required to attend his upcoming court hearing due to the decision not to prosecute, DeCastro was briefly joined by Wallace for a reaction before dismissing Wallace and ending his live stream. This was a rare victory for DeCastro, fresh off a setback in his Massachusetts-based federal civil rights lawsuit against Kate Peter, Josh Abrams, 50 John Doe YouTube creators, 20 John Doe YouTube workers, and Google YouTube itself. Judge Allison D. Burroughs gave YouTube the ability to respond to DeCastro's recent response to Google YouTube's motion to dismiss the case or move it to California. Google YouTube was seeking to respond to DeCastro's motion, as DeCastro added statements of fact that were not included in his previous claims in the lawsuit. Flashback, June 7, 2023. Team Skeptic to meet with YouTube. Team Skeptic broke his 3-week hiatus on videos with a nearly 3-hour-long update on everything from his new sponsor, his thoughts on ongoing conflicts in the community, and his ongoing dispute with Jose Chille DeCastro. Starting his broadcast with personal updates, Skeptic went into pending changes with his channels. His Team Skeptic After Dark channel will now be renamed Skeptic and will be focusing on full-length commentaries. His main Team Skeptic channel will remain focused on Karens, Karens in court, and sovereign citizens with real-time commentary. Team Skeptic is attempting to bring back Taser Tuesday broadcasts, which he hopes will be sponsored by Exter Wallets. He addressed his long-term interactions with Exter as a positive experience and is a relationship that he hopes to grow in the future. Addressing controversies in the community, Skeptic refused to intervene in the ongoing dispute between Tina Slay and Coded Friend 001. Coded had made a number of accusations against Slay that she had profited off her son's death at the hands of a federal agent. Skeptic asked everyone to take a step back and remember that they are part of the same community and must coexist. On the subject of Chille DeCastro, skeptics said he's had around 14 to 15 notices from YouTube regarding Jose Chille DeCastro's attempts to bring copyright strikes against his old videos, all of which failed. DeCastro currently has 14 days to respond to Skeptic's current counterclaim against the latest, with a federal lawsuit filed in Skeptic's home state for the claim to stand. DeCastro had previously stated that he does not have to meet the requirement as all of his YouTubes are listed in his federal copyright case against Kate Peter, Josh Abrams, multiple sets of John Doe YouTube creators and workers, and YouTube Google itself. YouTube disagrees with him and has denied every copyright claim that he has handled in this manner. Skeptic went on to state that he has a June 13th meeting with his YouTube Partner Program manager. Skeptic had refused the Partner Programs manager's previous offer to set up a meeting between Skeptic and a representative of safety and security, as he did not want to quash DeCastro's First Amendment rights to speak. Changing his mind, Skeptic says he will now cooperate with his Partner Program manager and take his complaints to the safety and security team. While he's unsure if the meeting will result in actions taken against DeCastro, it will at least produce a record of DeCastro's alleged abuse of YouTube's copyright system. DeCastro had previously attempted to obtain a protective order against Skeptic, which failed as DeCastro was unable to serve Skeptic before the court's deadlines. A similar situation most recently played out as DeCastro named Skeptic in the amended harassment and defamation case in his civil complaint against Kate Peter. DeCastro missing the deadline to prove service of Skeptic by over 20 days. We'll be updating the story with more developments as they happen. Flashback, June 10th, 2023. DeCastro files emergency motion. Jose Chille DeCastro filed an emergency motion with the judge in his Nevada-based civil case on Thursday for a preliminary injunction to stay his arraignment for his March arrest in Las Vegas, set for next week. In the 4-page briefing, DeCastro claims that his arraignment for obstruction and interference charges would have a direct impact on his civil case and would chill his rights. It also states that he expected to have the results of his internal affairs complaint by the time of his arraignment. An accompanying memo indicates that DeCastro has contacted Craig R. Anderson, who is part of the firm representing the defendants in the lawsuit, who stated that they would be filing a stay to delay the civil case until DeCastro's criminal charges were stayed. DeCastro placed a direct call to the offices of Judge Andrew P. Gordon, the judge assigned to both DeCastro and Floyd Wallace's separate federal civil rights lawsuits, during his first livestream on Friday. The YouTuber left a voicemail urging the judge to get back to him immediately on this motion. The self-proclaimed civil rights activist then went live with a second livestream from Las Vegas as he checked in on his internal affairs complaint. DeCastro filed the complaint last month, accompanied by Wallace, to complain about the torture during his March arrest by Las Vegas Metro police officers involved in the arrest. After wandering around the lobby of the building and a jarring interaction with a woman working reception, the volunteer receptionists left their posts and 4 police officers approached DeCastro. One of the officers stated that DeCastro's internal affairs complaint was now closed and wished DeCastro to have a nice day. DeCastro appeared stunned by the news, following 2 of the officers outside and attempting to make small talk with them twice. He also theorized that a tip was made to police about his brief interaction with teenagers involved in a Kids Explorer program where he made negative statements about police was the reason the internal affairs officers were prepared for his arrival. The YouTuber was also puzzled by the fact that his YouTube channel listed over 3,000 viewers at the time of his interaction with Internal Affairs. DeCastro was visibly shaken by the number and called for his chat to essentially put a 1 in the chat, or OTVO, to prove that they were real. DeCastro's planned late-night fundraiser for Eric Trujillo was apparently canceled after DeCastro's interaction with Internal Affairs. The YouTuber stated that if his fundraising efforts on behalf of his disabled fan were unsuccessful, he will personally pay for the fan's wheelchair and eye monitoring software. As part of the announcement, DeCastro claimed that he has raised the price of his print-on-demand trifolds from $6 to $8 to help fund those efforts. Trujillo's GoFundMe campaign has raised $2,807 out of a stated goal of $7,250 as of press time. Flashback, June 11, 2023. DeCastro Showcase Snafu. A much less impassioned Jose Chille DeCastro returned to live streaming on Saturday to talk about the next steps in his pursuit of an inquiry into his complaint about the officers who handled his March arrest in Las Vegas. In Thursday's emergency motion with the Nevada-based federal district court in order to stay his arraignment in Nevada's criminal court on Tuesday, DeCastro said the findings of his internal affairs complaint would be important to his criminal case and allowing the criminal case to proceed with Chille's rights in the civil matter. DeCastro received an answer from Internal Affairs to his query on Friday, as an Internal Affairs officer informed him that the case was now closed and wished him to have a nice day. Without a scathing indictment from Internal Affairs, DeCastro was left with an appeal to the Citizens Review Board that works closely with Internal Affairs in cases that were otherwise rejected for review by Internal Affairs. Alas, for DeCastro, his planned presentation on the Citizens Review Board featured a video of what he claimed to be the board's processes and had a lengthy statement from David Roger, who DeCastro claimed was the general counsel for the Citizens Review Board. Despite a logo being played on the screen and DeCastro naming it directly, DeCastro failed to make it clear that the video was produced by the Las Vegas Police Protective Association, an association that represents police with the Citizens Review Board and not the board itself. According to their website, the LVPPA was incorporated in 1947 and currently represents active and retired members of the LVMPD and corrections officers and the Las Vegas Deputy City and Municipal Court Marshals. LVPPA's ongoing mission is to provide its members with the best benefits and services available, in partnership with providers and fellow associations and organizations. The LVPPA is associated with the National Association of Police Organizations, Southern Nevada Conference of Police and Sheriffs, and the Big 50. A distracted DeCastro claimed that the Citizens Review Board process was illegitimate, as ultimately the process would come down to police investigating police and no justice would be found. During the broadcast, prominent YouTuber and Irish beer enthusiast Irish Demon joined DeCastro's chat, only to be immediately timed out. Following the video, DeCastro turned his attention to his fundraising efforts on behalf of a disabled fan, who is fundraising for an electric wheelchair and an Oricam My Eye Pro Visual Assistant device. DeCastro raised $350 toward the goal of $7,250. DeCastro stated that while it may take a month to reach the goal, he has embraced the cause and will devote a portion of every live stream to fundraising on his fans' behalf. Flashback, June 12, 2023. DeCastro's injunction request denied in Las Vegas. Judge Andrew P. Gordon denied Jose Chille DeCastro's request to stay his June 13th arraignment in Las Vegas. DeCastro, who is facing obstruction and interference criminal charges in Las Vegas Criminal Court, asked the judge in his federal civil rights lawsuit against the officers who arrested him to stay the criminal proceedings, or else it would chill his rights in the civil case. Craig R. Anderson, the attorney representing the defendants in the case, stated the opposite in DeCastro's meet and confer document filed with his motion. Anderson apparently claiming that a delay in the civil case should be granted until the civil case is resolved. Ultimately, Judge Gordon found that DeCastro failed to state the nature of the first hearing, what he expected to happen at the hearing, or how it would impact the case. Furthermore, DeCastro failed to state why he could not raise constitutional challenges to the prosecution of the Las Vegas case, a reason why he'd be jailed, or even why he would be subjected to excessive force if he was jailed pending trial. The judge cited Younger v. Harris, which states that the state and federal court should usually abstain from interfering with each other's proceedings as the basis for his decision. DeCastro has not released a statement as of press time. In more DeCastro legal news, Michael Blue Bacon Paratini filed a case management update form with California's Superior Court of Los Angeles. The form indicates that Jose Chille DeCastro is unwilling to confer on the matters with Paratini via phone if the call is recorded. Paratini's statement reads, "Plaintiff is unwilling to confer on a recorded phone line and is threatening Defendant Paratini with litigation in Washington State. Defendant Paratini has interpreted this threat as a consequence for declining to settle the case. Plaintiff's communications may have violated the protection order defendant Paratini has against him, and further violations are anticipated. This is a developing story. Flashback, June 13th, 2023. DeCastro no-show at arraignment. Homeless YouTuber Jose Chille DeCastro did not appear at his arraignment hearing in Las Vegas this morning, instead allowing his defense attorney, Michael Mee, to represent him in court. According to Discord user Paul Barry, who was on scene, the arraignment judge asked Mee if a plea offer was made. Mee responded in the affirmative and asked for a trial date to be set. When the judge inquired as to why Mee didn't consider the offer, Mee stated that he did not know his client's position on the offer. The judge gave Mee 2 weeks to discuss the offer with DeCastro before moving forward in the case. Jose Chille DeCastro filed a motion to reconsider his previous motion to stay his local criminal proceedings in Las Vegas with the United States Federal District Court of Nevada after his Tuesday arraignment. DeCastro's motion attempts to get the court to reconsider the previously denied motion to stay legal proceedings against him. DeCastro claiming that death may await him if he were to be jailed, stating that death in a corrupt jail would make it impossible to raise constitutional challenges in the state case. In a curious second filing, a man named Jensen attempted to join the case by filing a joinder motion. Jensen is seeking to stay the state's proceedings against DeCastro and stop all Nevada officers from prosecuting a criminal matter upon DeCastro or any other person charged with obstruction in similar circumstances. Jensen's attempts to make the case that the state's use of the obstruction standard to apply to someone recording and talking to a roadside traffic stop detainee is invalid, as it prevents this person from mounting a defense based on the rights of traffic stop detainees or Miranda rights. Both motions were filed before DeCastro's arraignment this morning for obstruction and interference in a state-level case surrounding DeCastro's arrest in March. DeCastro still claims proceeding with this criminal case will chill his rights in the civil case. Flashback to June 14, 2023, DeCastro comments on arraignment. Making his first statement since having his lawyer represent him at Tuesday's arraignment, Jose Chille DeCastro addressed recent events while driving and live streaming Tuesday night. The homeless YouTuber claimed he wouldn't address his court cases in the video, then stopped to pull over, claiming to literally single-handedly parallel park before discussing his recent court activity. DeCastro claimed that he hired an attorney to represent him in his arraignment, as he had a previous arrangement in Arizona that ended badly, as he did not have representation present. DeCastro's statement was instantly questioned by viewers, as DeCastro's alleged Arizona arrest does not show up in his well-documented criminal history. The activist would later state that he hired an attorney because members of Team DLZ had concerns. DeCastro failed to detail those concerns before changing the subject and making a statement that he would not accept special interest money when he campaigns and wins the governorship of an unnamed state. DeCastro spent the majority of the remainder of the video obsessing over a Las Vegas Metro police officer who was aggressive with DeCastro in a Monday morning traffic stop and asked him to move away from an active crime scene. The YouTuber threatened to sue the officer, identified only as Sergeant Martinez. The encounter leaving such an impression on DeCastro that he released multiple video shorts challenging and insulting the police sergeant in the hours that followed his broadcast. Flashback, June 15, 2023. Jason A. Jensen's motion denied. Internet user Jason A. Jensen suffered a second setback at the hands of the Las Vegas-based Federal District Court as Judge Andrew P. Gordon denied Jensen's motion for leave to file in opposition to the defendant's motion to dismiss. Going further, Judge Gordon ordered Jensen to cease filing documents in the case. Judge Gordon making clear that a properly supported motion to allow his joinder or intervention was still pending, and he may not file other documents documents in the case unless that motion is granted. The judge then instructed the clerk of the court to disregard the documents that Jensen had submitted to date and only file his motions to intervene in or join the lawsuit. Jensen appeared in Jose Chille DeCastro's side chat during a live stream earlier in the week, claiming that he was prepared to intervene on behalf of DeCastro. He then filed a joinder motion asking the court to postpone DeCastro's pending state-level criminal trial and to block the state from continuing to use obstruction charges who wanted to interview subjects of traffic stops during said traffic stops. Appearing on the Welsh News Network Tuesday night, Jensen claimed that he did not know DeCastro and that DeCastro was just a crazy guy on the internet. This is a breaking story. Flashback to June 16, 2023. DeCastro's copyright rampage continues. Jose Chille DeCastro's YouTube copyright strike rampage continued Thursday as he issued another series of copyright strikes against the Welsh News Network YouTube channel for allegedly violating YouTube's fair use policies. DeCastro apparently is targeting videos that mention his alleged extensive criminal history. This round of copyright infringement reporting was sparked by his failure to have WNN's recent video featuring the reading of the public documents related to his criminal history removed from YouTube for violating his privacy rights. Thursday saw DeCastro's alleged abuse of the copyright system be the focus of YouTubers Team Skeptic and Irish Demon's individual YouTube live streams. Both YouTubers indicated that they were in talks with YouTube representatives about efforts to stop DeCastro's alleged abuse of YouTube's copyright reporting system in order to quiet criticism from those he perceives as enemies. DeCastro has received harsh criticism from many YouTube creators as he allegedly frequently lashes out at other creators when he encounters criticism or times of great stress. His previous mass reporting spree came last year when he was able to use YouTube's copyright reporting system to temporarily take down channels belonging to Irish Demon, Dog Detective, after suffering perceived humiliation in his ongoing court case against Kate Peter, Josh Abrams, and others. The YouTuber also has received criticism as he is quick to strike channels for using his content. However, his recent broadcasts are filled with examples of DeCastro using content sourced from other YouTube channels without permission. His current reporting spree may have been sparked by his frustration in his multiple court cases, including his failure to have his Las Vegas criminal trial for interference and obstruction delayed over a claim that the criminal matter would somehow chill his rights in the civil trial he filed against the officers involved in his arrest. While DeCastro has claimed to have no knowledge of the Welsh News Network in the past, his previous attempts to strike the channel and his failed attempt to have his fans brigade the channel in order to have it removed earlier this year tell a different story. The Welsh News Network has not been directly named in the United States-based lawsuit as it is based in Wales, though WNN host Dan has mentioned the possibility of taking direct action against DeCastro in the courts of the United Kingdom. Flashback, June 18, 2023. DeCastro turns traffic stop into trifold commercial. Jose Chille DeCastro livestreamed from a traffic stop in the Las Vegas, Nevada area Saturday night. DeCastro, 48, walked up to the scene, briefly said hello to the driver that was pulled over, then approached the police officer conducting the stop and politely explained that he was a First Amendment auditor and that he would be filming and not interfering in the traffic stop. The auditor returned to a safe distance from the stopped vehicle to record when he noticed a police officer preparing to write a citation on his own car, which was illegally parked facing the wrong direction on the wrong side of the street. DeCastro calmly asked if he could move his car before receiving the citation. The officer replied in the affirmative, and DeCastro moved his car before returning to the scene. As DeCastro returned to the initial traffic stop, the police officer approached the driver with citation and left the scene. DeCastro approached the driver, an African-American middle-aged man, and the driver explained that he had been pulled over for expired license plates. The YouTuber then checked the car's license plates and confirmed that yes, they were a month out of date. Never missing an opportunity to promote his trifold, DeCastro handed the man a copy of his indestructible trifold and made the man practice the touchdown position on camera before ending the stream. Flashback, June 19th, 2023, Chille DeCastro's wild live stream. A motivated Jose Chille DeCastro live streamed for nearly 2 hours on Sunday night, covering various topics, including his new stance against censorship. DeCastro stated that as YouTube China was censoring him, he would no longer censor trolls on the channel, other than for brief timeouts and live chats that would later be lifted. The diminutive YouTuber tested this stance early as he mistook Uncle Artie of Uncle Artie's Bar and Grill for Artie of Artie's Corporate Fiction, bragging that he defeated Uncle Artie in a debate on Team Skeptic's channel. DeCastro would repeat the error throughout the broadcast, only to be told the difference between the two Arties by NCR News Network at the end of the broadcast. Uncle Artie would later release a statement on Kate Peters' Chille Watch Discord forum. Here's the irony. He literally sneaked into the back of a Dallas federal courthouse last year while I was out front waiting on him while I was doing a live stream. When you're scared of facing me, you're definitely a coward. I literally can't fight to save my life, yet he does this. That's twice he's defamed me. One more time and I'll sue him. He defamed me. He basically was saying I'm a highfalutin, making 5-6 figures lawyer with a majorly popular YouTube channel. That bastard! He did a Freudian slip and said he had a 50% administrative fee for a fundraiser he was doing. Those of us that heard it think he meant out of everything he does. He claims he is transparent. Then fine, show the receipts. Show us your tax records. You still have to pay taxes on super chats, regardless of donating every penny to a charity. GoFundMe is not considered a tax write-off or a donation, so he's full of shit. DeCastro spent nearly an hour interviewing YouTuber Walt Kelly, who is fighting against police corruption in Rankin County, Mississippi. The YouTuber sat through a number of Kelly's stories before dismissing him and attempting to call flood the Rankin County Sheriff's Department to put in a complaint on Kelly's behalf. Reaching the after-hours line, DeCastro was asked to call back between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. local time, Monday through Friday, if he wanted to reach an actual member of law enforcement. The YouTuber would claim that YouTube China was conspiring against him and apparently withholding his ceremonial 100,000 subscriber plaque, stating that YouTube told him it would have to review his channel before giving him the award. DeCastro's emotions later spiraled as he pondered about his destiny. He said that he would not let violence taint his legacy like Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X did, and that he would never harm anyone unless they threatened him, and he would not be stopped from using deadly force. Wistfully mentioning Ironton Police Captain Chad Gu, he claimed that Gu had set him up for murder in their scheduled cage fight last year, and that he regretted not beating up Gu at a local gym in Ironton instead of agreeing to a more mainstream fight. As the livestream wound down, DeCastro declared that he was going to sue YouTube again for discrimination, and that Sergeant Martinez of the Las Vegas Police Department was also going to be sued. In the Martinez case, DeCastro said he was going to go for summary judgment to prevent the police from interfering in his on-scene news reporting. DeCastro is set to officially announce his next lawsuits tomorrow morning in a taped premiere on both of his YouTube channels. The YouTuber is also silencing critics by placing multiple false copyright strikes on channels who have questioned his statements. Flashback, June 20th, 2023, DeCastro explains Juneteenth. Proclaiming himself a leader who is leading tens of thousands of people, Jose Chille DeCastro spent his Juneteenth live segment exploring the holiday's true history and how it related to his history of lynching in the United States poster. The poster, which is available for sale in both digital and physical form on his website, was put together over 2 years and features DeCastro's extreme beliefs of black life in America. DeCastro spent 2 hours explaining his poster, peppering his speech with such tidbits as his belief that comedian Steve Martin stole his act from Al Jolson, and that former Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a racist. Turning his attention to his own personal issues, DeCastro described himself as being baptized in the fires of hell, but being a new man with a new lease on life. He reaffirmed his belief in freedom of speech while continuing to strike any YouTube channel that questioned his personal beliefs with copyright strikes. Early Tuesday morning, DeCastro again delayed his announcement of his latest lawsuit. Instead, he substituted a video of his recent confrontation with Officer Jesse Sandoval of the Las Vegas Metro Police Department. DeCastro alleges that Sandoval tortured him while he was in police custody during his March arrest. The YouTuber alleges, without providing medical proof, that Sandoval permanently damaged his ulnar nerve, causing permanent numbness in his left hand. The 11-minute video features DeCastro verbally harassing and insulting Sandoval during a traffic stop at a Las Vegas gas station. A driver was pulled over for missing a rear license plate, and DeCastro became triggered when Sandoval arrived. DeCastro interacted with the female driver involved in the stop, telling her that he didn't have a bazooka in his pants, and later assuring her that there was nothing in his pants that could be used in violence. After the police left, DeCastro confronted the driver about not having a copy of her insurance card in a laminated card to hand to police, and the fact that she did not record her interaction with police, the driver placating DeCastro until he wandered away from the scene. Flashback, June 22nd, 2023. DeCastro live streams from downtown Las Vegas. Jose Chille DeCastro spent Wednesday evening live streaming outside of the Clark County Detention Center and protesting the state of detention centers in America. DeCastro stood outside the facility's booking entrance while watching police cars deliver suspects to the facility. He interacted with various pedestrians and people looking for their loved ones who were being held inside the building. He eventually paused to contrast the loveliness of the Golden Nugget Hotel behind him with the stark environment presented by the detention center. The YouTuber devoted part of his live streaming to defending influencer and alpha male Andrew Tate, who has been charged in Romania with rape and human trafficking. DeCastro stated that he felt like Tate was incapable of the crimes due to his alpha male status. DeCastro also used the time to address his feelings about violence. The activist questioned police taking abusers away from the homes after they assaulted anyone else, as jail would only anger them further and lead to continued abuse, claiming he had a plan for domestic abuse when he was governor, but failing to state his plan. DeCastro assured his viewers that things could change for the better when he obtained political standing as the chief executive of a yet-to-be-named state. The homeless activist and YouTuber eventually left the facility when he thought he recognized a police officer he had a previous confrontation with at a traffic stop, hastily exiting the scene after an hour boldly live streaming from the detention center. Eventually finding himself at the Las Vegas Fremont Street Experience, DeCastro seemed lost in the lights and sounds. He was eventually approached by a fan named Mark, who asked him about Nevada's stop and ID laws. The fan took a picture with DeCastro before exiting the live stream. Flashback, June 24th, 2023. DeCastro targets Supreme Court. Jose Chille DeCastro's Friday night live stream failed to address recent filings by the defense in the Las Vegas-based federal civil rights lawsuit, or supporter Jason Dollahide almost assured defeat in his own federal civil rights lawsuit, but instead focused on the evils of the Supreme Court. In the nearly 1 hour-long disjointed presentation, DeCastro argued against having people serving in government put into roles where they served for life and attacked the Supreme Court for upholding positions that limited freedom of Americans. DeCastro declared that when he was governor, he would ignore federal laws and impose his will upon the people, much like his apparent role model Ron DeSantis, the homeless YouTuber claiming that it was the governor's power to ignore federal laws, including those that call for cameras in cars, vaccine mandates, and other health standards, and the requirement to have a driver's license to operate a vehicle. The activist and journalist rallied against government interference in American life and asserted his feelings that if the government had the power to do so, it would have prevented driving during the 2020 pandemic by remotely disabling cars and freezing bank accounts of those who refused to be vaccinated against the COVID-19 virus. Announcing a new product, a poster devoted to the United States Supreme Court's alleged act of tyranny throughout history, DeCastro assured his fans that he would continue to speak out against the evil of the court after he becomes the top executive of a yet-to-be-named state. DeCastro announced his next live stream will be held on Saturday and will be a fundraiser for Eric Trujillo. The YouTuber is set to make an appearance in his criminal case in Las Vegas on Tuesday, July 27th, 2023. Flashback, June 25th, 2023. DeCastro public facade exposed. Jose Chille DeCastro highlighted his altruistic nature as he held fundraising livestream for a disabled fan who was seeking help to obtain an electric wheelchair and OrCam visual assistant device. After playing several videos of police negatively interacting with children, DeCastro remembered over $100 in outstanding donations he had meant to give to the GoFundMe, eventually donating the amount along with new donations, including 2 donations of $400 each from a longtime supporter who had hailed the donations as investments when DeCastro called the donor to express his thanks. DeCastro was brought to tears at one point in the broadcast as he was hailed as a great human being for his efforts, a truly amazing specimen, and a future leader of the United States. While he was broadcasting directly to nearly 200 of his 176,000 subscribers, DeCastro continued his campaign against free speech on YouTube, striking creators who say disparaging things about him with multiple copyright strikes. In a repeat of a similar campaign he ran against YouTube creators late last year, DeCastro continued to issue an incredible amount of strikes against strategically selected channels known for personally criticizing him. DeCastro also continued to ignore the requirement that he needed to actually sue the subject of his copyright strikes within the home state or country where they're based. For the Wales-based WNN, for example, fulfilling the requirement would see DeCastro filing a lawsuit in the United Kingdom, which he is unlikely to accomplish within the limited time left to act on his claim. While the channels that he has acted against will eventually return, DeCastro has shown that he will not learn from his past defeat and will continue to fight against the First Amendment protections in private, while displaying a face of goodness and being a champion for his own First Amendment rights in public. Flashback, June 27, 2023. DeCastro skips court appearances. Jose Chille DeCastro had 2 appearances scheduled for Tuesday, June 27, 2023, and attended neither today as his lawyer entered his plea in his Las Vegas-based criminal case, and technical difficulties may have kept him from attending the virtual courtroom in his California-based civil case. DeCastro was not expected to attend his criminal case today, as it was a status update to his arraignment from June 13. His lawyer announced that DeCastro had rejected the state of Nevada's plea offer and entered a not guilty plea on DeCastro's behalf. The judge in the criminal case ordered DeCastro to appear in person for his bench trial to be held on September 12, 2023. Today's hearing in DeCastro's civil lawsuit against Blue Bacon, Kate Peter, Daniel Clement, and Team Skeptic. DeCastro failed to attend the status hearing conference, and it was rescheduled for June 29, 2023. Bacon claimed the judge indicated that a lot of people were having technical difficulties getting into the remote room for the virtual hearings that day, but that DeCastro had not reported any difficulties to the court clerk. Judge H.J. Ford III reminded Bacon that he recommended that both men hire attorneys, and seemed pleased when Bacon stated that he was in the process of doing so. The judge also reminded Bacon that while his anti-SLAPP motion was denied, Bacon could respond to his motion and try again before July 27, 2023. Bacon did ask for an extension to that deadline, as he'll be attending his mandatory United States National Guard service for the first 2 weeks of July. The judge asked Bacon to file his delay and indicated that if DeCastro did not show up to the next hearing, he may just approve the delay if it was on file. The rescheduled status hearing is set for June 29, 2023. Flashback, June 29th, 2023. DeCastro rages against Supreme Court again. After taking a 24-hour break due to exhaustion, Jose Chille DeCastro returned to live streaming Wednesday night with a new discussion of the Supreme Court and the case of James King, who was mistakenly beaten and arrested by members of an FBI task force after being mistaken for a suspect in another case. King sued 2 members of the task force, with his lawsuit ending up at the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court unanimously ruled that a lower court was correct in its dismissal of part of King's lawsuit when it found that the officers involved were entitled to qualified immunity and that King failed to allege any viable tort claims. King is asking the Supreme Court to reconsider its decision. DeCastro launched into his standard attacks on the Supreme Court, calling to amend the Constitution to change the role of a Supreme Court justice from one that is appointed for life to one that is elected and serves 10-year terms. Changing focus, the homeless YouTuber bragged to his 200 live viewers out of his 183,000 subscribers that his channel is getting 50,000 new subscribers per month as his message was resonating with more and more people every day. He recalled nightmares he had for years after he took a diversion program and admitted guilt for arrest for GHB distribution in the early 2000s, and said that even when you are found innocent, the police can prosecute you at any time for charges that you may have thought were dropped. DeCastro is due later in California Superior Court for a status update hearing in his civil lawsuit against Kate Peter, Daniel Clement, Blue Bacon, and Team Skeptic. Flashback, June 30th, 2023. Judge rules against DeCastro. Jose Chille DeCastro had a minor setback in his ongoing harassment and defamation lawsuit against Kate Peter, Blue Bacon, Team Skeptic, Daniel Clement, and 50 John Doe YouTube creators in a California Superior Court case on Friday, as a judge denied his most recent motion while setting a trial date. DeCastro was seeking to recover costs of serving Michael Blue Bacon Paratini at a scheduled hearing in the lawsuit on Friday, which was held concurrently with the rescheduled case management hearing. Both DeCastro, who had missed Tuesday's scheduled case management hearing due to technical issues, and Bacon were in attendance via Zoom. According to Bacon's account, Bacon confirmed that he was seeking advice with legal counsel when asked by the judge as the event started. DeCastro said he was not seeking legal help at this time, and he had a team working with him. The judge briefly discussed the requirement to meet and confer under previous orders, and the judge ruled that neither side could record their conversations. According to Bacon's account, the judge briefly discussed the requirement to meet and confirm under previous orders, and the judge ruled that neither side could record their conversations. According to Bacon's account, the judge officially waived the need to communicate via voice call, as most of the pretrial conditions could be met via email. The judge ordered Bacon, or Bacon's new counsel, to file a response pleading to his anti-SLAPP ruling by August 1, 2023. The judge then set a status conference meeting for August 28, 2024, and a final status conference for February 10, 2025. The jury trial in the case was then scheduled for February 24, 2025. Again, according to Bacon's account, Judge Ford admonished both men for improperly formatting and filing their motions. When DeCastro inquired about help with formatting and with serving Daniel Clement and Team Skeptic, the judge indicated that he would put some formatting notes in his ruling and urged both men to seek legal representation or visit a law library in order to learn how to properly format motions in the future. Judge Ford denied DeCastro's request for compensation for his service of Bacon, writing, "Plaintiff Jose DeCastro's motion without notice to recover costs of personal service on Michael Paratini is denied. If the person to whom a copy of the summons and the complaint are mailed pursuant to this section fails to complete and return the acknowledgment form set forth in Subdivision B within 20 days from the date of such mailing, the party to whom the summons was mailed shall be liable for reasonable expenses therefore incurred in serving or attempting to serve the party by another method permitted by this chapter, and, except for good cause shown, the court in which the action is pending upon motion with or without notice shall award the party such expenses whether or not he is otherwise entitled to recover his costs in the action." As the moving party, it is DeCastro's burden to submit competent evidence in support of this motion. DeCastro claims the summons and the complaint was mailed to Paratini with a notice of acknowledgement and receipt pursuant to CCP 415.30d. DeCastro claims Paratini refused to accept service and did not return the signed NAR. DeCastro fails to submit any evidence that proper service pursuant to 415.30 was attempted and fails to submit any evidence supporting costs in the amount of $145. As promised, Judge Ford included criticisms of DeCastro's recent motions and included tips of how to properly format motions before ending with an admonishment of both men. Judge Ford wrote, "Both parties are admonished to fully comply with the requirements relating to the filing of motions or other papers with the court and are encouraged to seek help of a lawyer if able." Flashback, July 1st, 2023. DeCastro features the works of Jeff Gray. Jose Chille DeCastro livestreamed from his Las Vegas office on Friday night and featured videos from YouTuber Jeff Gray from the Honor Your Oath YouTube channel. DeCastro featured his own YouTube shorts based on Gray's videos, including one where DeCastro called the Ocean Springs, Mississippi Police Department to complain about an interaction between Gray and a police officer in front of the City Hall in Ocean Springs. After multiple hang-ups by the dispatcher on duty, who explained that as a dispatcher he could not address DeCastro's complaints and could only direct him to other parties, DeCastro raised his voice and claimed to have come from a military family and that his family came over on the first boats to the United States. The dispatcher again explained that he could only direct DeCastro to others working in the police force and asked DeCastro to call back during business hours before hanging up on him again. After seeing a link to Carlos Miller's Photography is Not a Crime organization from one of Jeff Gray's links, DeCastro again recounted his time associated with the organization. He explained that back when he was associated with the crew, it was before cameras were on all phones, and that 9 years ago in 2013, recording the police was not socially acceptable. Strangely, DeCastro spent the entire hour and 49-minute video featuring content from another YouTube channel without permission. While transformational and covered under YouTube's fair use policy, DeCastro has struck multiple channels in the past year, including Dr. Dave, Frauditor Troll, Welsh News Network, Irish Demon, and others for using his videos in this manner. DeCastro is also actively involved in a federal copyright lawsuit against Kate Peter, Josh Abrams, 50 John Doe YouTube creators, 25 John Doe workers, and YouTube Google itself. Flashback, July 3rd, 2023. DeCastro goes there. Jose Chille DeCastro's YouTube livestream was awkward on Sunday at best, as the homeless future governor of a major state to be named later essentially went there, went back there, and lived there for a while. After watching 2 videos featuring white protagonists of police stops and going through his usual motions of feigned outrage and creepy laughter, DeCastro featured a video of an African-American protagonist when he went there, loudly and repeatedly. There, of course, being an open discussion of the so-called N-word and how he could no longer listen to his favorite music, 90s rap, because he was no longer allowed to sing the lyrics. He bemoaned the loss of the ability to listen to Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and said that he would rather go without the music if he couldn't sing along to it, instead of dropping the subject and apologizing for bringing up a racially sensitive topic. DeCastro repeatedly went back to the use of the word and went further into his argument, claiming not to be a racist and repeating previous claims that he only started his channel on TikTok because African Americans in America lacked a leader who was not associated with religion. The reaction of his 295 live viewers out of 194,000 subscribers was mixed at best, with several in chat criticizing his defense of the so-called N-word, which prompted him to further expound on his feelings about the word and its use in his culture. DeCastro continued to be tone-deaf in his discussion of the word, indicating if they were able to call each other the word, everyone should be able to use it freely. He further stated that he was not prejudiced in any way and only hated you if you were blue, apparently a reference to being a police officer, before wrapping up his broadcast by directing his viewers to his teachings on the history of institutional racism in America. DeCastro is expected to livestream again later on Monday, July 3rd, 2023. And yes, folks, I have a muted mic. So, yeah. Thank you for being with us for the best of Chille DeCastro Part 1. These are stories from 2023. We'll probably be doing this again on Labor Day for the next installment of the 2023 stuff. For tonight, we have the first installment of 2024's best of, going May up till last night in stories. So if anyone wants to join us, please join us at 6:30 p.m. tonight Eastern, 5:30 p.m. where it counts, 4:30 p.m. Mountain, and 3:30 p.m. on the West Coast. I hope everybody has a happy and safe holiday. I'm staying indoors, but you know I can't go outside anyway due to my allergies. But if you're tired of relatives, you're tired of fireworks, come listen to Chille Stories. We'll be here. Also, if you want a tip, the tip jar is open at any time. Thank you again for being with us this morning, and I'm off to take a nap. I hope everyone else has a great day. Good night, good morning, everybody.